Well, tonight, an exclusive interview with a man who claims he had a secret affair with the first wife of real estate heir Robert Durst just days before her disappearance, and his connection to the White House.
Senior investigative reporter Tara Rosenblum brings us the story you'll see only on 12.
For decades, you've seen their faces and heard their story in countless movies.
If anything happens to me, don't let them get away with it.
Documentaries.
He's not crazy. He's diabolical.
Books. Front page headlines. But there's one voice.
This is something that has to be righted.
And one story.
I was together with them when he went crazy.
You haven't heard until now. This is the first time you are revealing the true nature of your real relationship with Kathie Durst. Why are you sharing so much with me right now?
I feel like I'm the missing link in this case.
Bill Stevenson is a rock club owner from Delaware.
Here's a picture of the group Queen and I.
Probably best known for his first marriage to the now First Lady Jill Biden back in the 70s. But his friendship with Kathy McCormick, later Kathie Durst, dates back to the 60s when their family spent summers near each other in the Poconos.
And she was like cool little sister where you'd look over and you'd laugh, and I watched her grow up to be a beautiful young woman.
And eventually they reconnected in the summer of 1974 when Bill and his then-wife Jill hosted Kathie and Robert Durst at this Delaware home for a long weekend. Kathie and Jill were the same age. They were both students. Would you say that they hit it off right away?
Yes, both very smart. They're similar people at that age. You know, it was hard not to hit it off.
A stark contrast to Bill's connection with Robert.
So I remember him talking to himself in my garage. To me, it was like, oh my God.
But he says the bigger shock would come a few years later in a surprise phone call from Kathie.
She said, I am having a real problem with Robert and I'm scared to death.
Did she tell you why she was so scared?
Yes, she said that he was being violent with her.
Why do you think she picked you to reach out to?
I think that at that point, she couldn't trust anybody around her that knew Robert, I guess. I don't know why she picked me, but I'm glad she did. But I do feel I let her down. You know, I look back at that last 2 months and I go, what could I have done differently?
Between December of 1981 and January 1982, Bill, now divorced from Jill, says he visited Kathie at least 5 times in New York City to try and help her escape her troubled marriage. During one of those visits, where he and his best friend George Kern stayed at Kathie's apartment, Bill told me his friendship with Kathie took an unexpected turn.
She was in this silk nightie. Nothing was said. She grabbed my hand, led me back to the bedroom. We closed the door, and life changed for both of us. Totally unexpected, beautiful night, no regrets. The next thing I realize, we hear pounding on the door. It's like 7:30 in the morning. She runs out of the bedroom, and she runs back in and she says, it's Bob. I jumped up, I ran out. And then all of a sudden he screams something, but he goes like this. He had a wad of like cash rolled up and hit her right in the face with it. And it was so crazy. And he started yelling, Kathleen, this isn't gonna happen. And she started yelling, I'm moving to Delaware. I'm done, we're done. And I'm like sitting there, I'm in shock. And people have to understand that this guy is a monster. I saw it in his eyes.
10 days later, Kathie vanished.
I got in my car and went to the 19th precinct, literally within 24 hours, and said, he killed her. He wrote a couple things down. He goes, all right, well, we'll get back to you. I never heard another word from them.
Do you think your intimate relationship with Kathie had anything to do with her disappearance?
Absolutely. I think it would have driven him crazy. And I don't feel guilty about that. He was abusing her, and she wanted out. And I feel like if something happened wonderful at the end of her life, I hope this was it. I'm sorry. I just hope that, she had the same thoughts at the end there.
The NYPD does not keep visitor logs dating back to the 80s, so couldn't comment on Bill's story. Bill Stevenson also tells us he's written an autobiography but has decided not to publish it at this time. Meanwhile, Robert Durst's attorney tells News 12 tonight that he wanted to watch our story before reacting to Bill's allegations and added that Durst had nothing to do with his wife's murder. We'll be right back.